Alright, well, g'day there. Richard Musgrave-Evans here again and welcome back. Now today, inside the studio again, got a big Belgian linen, beautiful coarse linen, great texture, really chunky stuff, buckets of oil paint, and of course the trusty old palette knife. Now I'm going to paint a lovely outback tranquil waterhole. Full sun, into the light type of thing. Quite often what I have done is I've had the light sort of above me and behind me when I'm painting things like that, but this time I've got the light more in front of me and down, which makes those silhouette shapes with the headlands, or not the headlands, the cliff faces as they run down to the waterhole. Should be pretty interesting. Don't need to say any more. Let's just get into it. Okay, I might just get some bit of phthalo blue and white. Before we go any further, we'll just talk about the colours. What we've got here is viridian green, magenta, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, titanium white, cad orange and cad yellow. That'll be enough for everything. Let's get into this. I'm just going to do a bit of blocking in now with phthalo, just to get a bit of a linear thing going on. Alright, let's have a look. That'll be there today. It's going to come down. What have we got here? This will be about the area where it intersects. An intersection around here of the water, jumping down. Can see a bit of rock work there. Just feeling my way at the moment. A bit more white in there, I reckon. Lighten that value with white. This will come down here. Yep, about there. I like just going by feel like this. Like you could go for a much more structured thing if you want, but I really like just feeling the composition as I go. And I think I'll go that way. There's a lump up there. I just find that seems to work well for me, so that's what I'm into. This will be the last mountain range in the subject, running through here, dropping back a bit like that, dropping back a bit like that. Just stand back and see what I'm up to. Just needed to analyse from a distance to see if I'm getting this last mountain range at the right height. I want enough sky, I don't want to make it too high, but it is going to be fairly high in the composition. That's about it. It'll come across to about there. Now I've done some little versions of this waterhole and it's been a very successful composition. So I've decided to go larger scale and make more of a major size work of it, because I feel like I really need to do justice to the composition. That's what's great about those little studies. You can work out composition as you're going. I'll go about there. And when you feel like you've really got something that's successful, then you can work on a major piece. Through there, through there. Through there. That's it, we're starting to feel it now, starting to warm up. Chunky, chunky, that's there. That's there. So that's basically all the linear stuff, that's all there now. That's given me enough idea as to what to do now to create my major piece and get everything in the right shapes. We've got the structure. Before we go any further, I might just work out where I'm going to put these clouds too. Around about there. Put a bit of light value in where the cloud's going to be. Around about there like that. Pretty much it. Got the basic shapes. Shorten that little headland there a little bit, not so far across. Comes down. A bit more white in there. Well, I've got a bit of orange there, that won't hurt. That's going to be in there later anyway, so. Okay, there we go. I reckon we've got the right shapes now. Next I'll start putting the darkest darks in, middle tones, whatever else. Okay. Let's go for some alizarin crimson. Get some darkest darks. Yeah, what are we going to do today? Maybe a bit of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Phthalo blue maybe. Any one of those blues will make it a nice dark. That's good and dark, that one. A bit of dark in there. It's good to paint on this chunky surface again. I've been doing a fair bit of painting on some small boards. You would have seen my little 6x6 series I'm doing. And that's been great. But at the same time, I've got to say, it's great to get onto the chunky stuff. Right, now, there's not too many, there's a few darkest darks. We'll just keep on going for a bit longer. A bit more alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, and a bit of ultramarine blue. Right, mid-tones, right. Burnt sienna, a little bit of blue to knock it back, a little bit of white to lighten the value, a bit of magenta and make it a nice red colour. We're going to need tons of this stuff because it's a thick, coarse linen. Let's just have a look at what we got. Going to use buckets of paint, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, a little bit of blue to go with it to knock it back a bit, burnt sienna. I'm going to have to get more paint out, I can see that right here and now. But for now, let's just get it on. Some up through here too, a bit more white, burnt sienna, magenta and blue. It's making a lovely brew. More magenta and more burnt siennas, more blues. I'll go for red instead of magenta either way. As long as you've got a bit of blue with it, it'll make the right thing. Down here and chunk into about there. Let's get into it. More burnt sienna, more white, more magenta, more blue. Mix up a huge brew. Yeah, more of that stuff. More white going with all that. That's lovely. Look at that. Fantastic stuff. Okay. Trowel it on. Get the coverage going. Bring her in. That will be up that way, across that way. Fill up that corner there, nice, look at that. Let's go some more, got that. Might go for a bit of yellow ochre now. A bit of yellow ochre with the burnt sienna. Just going to create a little bit more reflected light. The magenta still in a bit of blue to knock it back a bit. So it's a lower key, a lower value, but it's still got that yellow ochre. Up in here, there's some lighter tone rocks. So we'll just put them in like that. Swing that off there, put that in there. Okay, let's have a quick look. More yellow ochre, more white, more burnt sienna, more blue, more red. A little bit higher, a little bit higher. A bit more paint on the surface. Just want to make sure I've got plenty of paint to muck around with. Okay, let's go for something slightly different now. White, blue, red, brown, more red, more brown, more white. Trying to mix up plenty of stuff for starters, but I just want a slight greyer version. So I've added more of the blue with it, knock the chromatic saturation down, less intense stuff. This side here, it's in the sunlight, and the rock's got more of just a grey feel about it in general. It's the beautiful thing about the outback here, you get all these different colours in the rocks over millions of years. Some of the rocks are grey, some of them are kind of a magenta-y brown, some are ochre. It's unbelievable, it's beautiful. Okay, a little bit lighter in value, a bit more yellow ochre. White. Bit of a high tide mark coming through here. A bit of a light value there. Change tack and go slightly darker again. Going for a darker value. Burnt siennas, ultramarine blue. A bit more burnt sienna dominant. Maybe a bit of yellow ochre. I just want to build in the shadow that's just here. There's another one here. There's a big shadow just down in here too. A bit more blue with that. Going there like that, in that area. It's kind of working out. Let's just get a bit more of that burnt sienna, a bit more of the red. Trowel it on, right up to the edges. A bit more white, a bit more blue. It's going to lighten the value through here. Let's have a look at that. What do we got? Going a bit higher, like that. A little bit in there. Some more light greys going through here. A bit more white. Just feel my way through. Feeling the shapes of the rocks. There we go. Up that way. White, blue and red. Maybe magenta. A bit more white to lighten the value. A bit more magenta. Let me have a look what I've got here. Lighten that value. Lovely colour. Let's put that one on there. This is the distant mountain. It's just a little further back. Just lighten it that little bit to help send it off a bit. It goes back. There we go, something along those lines. Up there like that. Like that, that's nice. Just stand back, have a look and see what I think. Alright, we've kind of got a lad in. Let's go for something else now. Let's put the water in. So, burnt sienna, Viridian green, yellow ochre, viridian green, burnt sienna, yellow ochre. Mix up a nice brew of that. It's probably not too far off. I think I fluked that one. Let's have a look. Could go maybe a little bit warmer. Up through there, kicking around there. There we go. Put that in. I have to change the height of that. That there and that there are lining up. I'm not necessarily into that, so I'll change that in a minute. I like nature to be variety. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna, viridian green. A bit more yellow ochre. A bit more burnt sienna. Maybe they can come down. Have a look. Take that down further. Bit of white and yellow ochre to change it, lighten the value a little bit. Not too much, a bit more yellow ochre. Burnt sienna. Slightly lighter value there because this reflection here will be a bit of a paddock up there of grass. So it's just ever so slightly lighter, like so. Nice and buttery, beautiful buttery oil paint, eh? Good stuff. Chunker in, chunker in. Stand back and have a look. Alright, well that seems to be working out fairly well. I might put the sky in now because that's the biggest difference. It's very different to that. The colour of the sky is going to be a lot different, lighter in value and all that sort of stuff. So I'll get that in, get as much stuff in as we possibly can right at the start. And what that does is then we can work out if we've got all the values right, then we can start reeling it in. Go for some phthalo blue to start with, some white, bit of yellow ochre. As it's down lower in the horizon. Mix it up, plenty of white, lighter value down lower. Still got a beautiful colour, it's got a slight yellow ochre dominance in it just to send it off ever so slightly green. Not much but a little. Still a beautiful strong outback colour though. When you're looking up, when you're down in these gorges and you're looking up, because you quite often are looking up because the walls of the gorge is so steep, and, well, the sky always looks so blue against, contrasting against all the warm earthy stuff, so there you go. Alright, let's go for some ultramarine blue now, some white. I'll mix that with that so they don't just look at each other. That ultramarine is a very different colour. We'll go have a little bit more phthalo. That's a slightly darker value and ever so slightly warmer. Let's have a look. There's a little bit more red in it. That's looking good. Chunky, chunky, chunky. Put that on. There we go. Up there, and through there. The blue always looks really good against that linen. When you leave bits of the linen showing through, the blue always looks really nice against it. Just stand back, see if I'm getting the right values, and if I am, boom, I'll get back into it. Not too bad. Let's just get some of this stuff down here too. Where are we? Maybe a little bit more white. Just put a little bit of that reflection in while we're at it. It will be slightly keyed down, a slightly keyed down version, because in the water it's not going to be quite as intense. But I just want to match it with a bit of colour there. You can get a little bit dirty with the green, that's alright, because they will mix in the eye with the water being a keyed down version. Alright, not too bad. Let's go up a layer, ultramarine blue, white, more white, more ultramarine blue. What a beautiful colour that is. A little bit of phthalo, so it's not completely different to the sky we've already mixed. Let's just have a look. That's a little bit darker. Slip a little bit of that down in here. Right. All good, all good. A bit more ultramarine blue, let's go up a layer, a bit more white. A little bit more of that phthalo with the ultramarine. Maybe a bit of magenta as it gets higher, but it's getting ever so slightly more and more red, and ever so slightly darker in value as it goes up. Beautiful deep colour. A bit more phthalo though. See what we got. We'll mix it up a bit more first. There we go. That is a beautiful deep colour. Lovely deep colour, look. Such a deep blue. The blue heavens. Blue heavens, absolutely beautiful stuff. Like I said, when you're there, that's what really grabs you on the day. You really sense that intensity of blue. Pull them together a little, just like that. So they gradiate through nice and evenly. More of that in. A bit more reds and greens. Lower the key completely down here. Because you're looking down into the water and it loses its intensity of colour. There. Let's go up with there. Blend, blend, blend. Do a bit of white, more red. Just going to already stick a little bit of what's going to be up here in a minute. A little bit of cloud reflection, because there's a few clouds chopping around in this picture. Just there. Down in there. More white to lighten that value, a bit more red. Get some coverage. Stand back and then I'll get stuck into these clouds here. Let's get into it. More white, just we're going through that white. Bit of red, bit more blue. And again, here's a little bit of brown. Yeah, a little bit of brown, not too much. Because I'm trying to send it to a grey. So we're using the blues, the browns, and the red to get a nice grey colour of the cloud, but a slight magenta dominance, like it'll have a slightly purplish grey, I guess you could say. I'm using alizarin crimson to do that, but I could easily be using magenta. It's just I've currently gone out. All right. Nice. Funnel that on. through here. Yeah, and there. Off this way. Blimey, we're running out of paint. Hang on, here we go. Ultramarine blue, white, red. A little bit of brown, like I said, to go with it. A bit more of the blues. Just keep on mixing. What are we missing out on here? Does need a bit more magenta. Lovely. Now there are the shadows of the clouds. I'm going to put some white highlights to turn all pop. You get the light and shadow because you're looking into the silhouette. Just got a tube for the magenta at the moment. That's no dramas. Put that there. But I do have the absolutely massive tin for the white. Art Spectrum, Australian brand, beautiful stuff. Get this knife clean. Now these tins of paint are fantastic because it makes it so much more affordable to paint in this style, this big chunky style. You need to be able to buy paint cheap, more cheaply I guess, and this is a good way to do it. So big slabs like that, almost a tube of paint in one scoof. It's not too expensive, so it's good stuff. A bit more. There we go. Like I said, I might stick a few of those lighter values of the clouds in right now, and that'll really start, maybe a bit of cad yellow with the white. Mostly white though. That'll really start to give the feeling of sunlight and shadow. Just chuck some of that in there and in there, big chunky bits. Try and keep it clean. Wipe through here. It's really starting to give the feeling of sunlight. It's all well and good. Slightly keyed down version. Where's a bit of burnt sienna maybe? Burnt sienna with the white, just key it down a little. Like I said, we don't want it to be the full strength, just a keyed down reflection of it. So far the painting is extremely loose and just blocked in, but because I'm getting the values right and looking into a silhouette, it really is already starting to feel like the sunlight and shadow. That's what's great about painting the big impression, and then putting as much detail in as you need, as you feel like you need personally to finish the painting, but you can start to get the effect almost immediately if you work in big blocks of tonal values, particularly with light and shadow of a silhouette, because you look into the light, everything's turned into shadows with light edges and things like that, and it really starts to give that feeling. If you've got the light behind you and everything's lit up evenly and flatly, it takes a bit more work to convince the eye that you're actually looking at realism. But when you're looking into a silhouette, it's a very convincing effect. All right, let's get some, what we'll do now is we'll get this paddock out here. There's a bit of light values there, we'll lighten that. So we'll do that now with some yellow ochre. Here's a bit of those whites that are there, that we've previously been mixing clouds with. Just have a look what tonal value I've chosen. Let's go a bit lighter, maybe just throw a bit more of that cad yellow in to really sting it up. It's nice stuff. Really giving the feeling of light source now hitting there. bit more of the cats. Right. I'm going to put a bit of cat orange with that. The light's just skimming along these areas. Picking up a bit of grass on the headlands here. White, yellow acorn cad. White shadow there. Alright, let's have a look. It's all well and good. I might just alter the draftsmanship through here a little, bring this rock work up. Through that way, so you've got more of a, it's coming out, then dropping a bit more variety to it. Reds and blues and browns. Bit more red, blue, just trying to get some dark values here. Drawing in some of the rock work. Right. Bit more red. Just here. Real shadow kicking in just there. What are we doing? Really feeling those shadows. So we've got all in shadow this side except for a few silhouettes. It's lighting up more on that side. So we've got much more light and shadow there. All right. Well, that's all working well. Why don't we go for, let's clean this knife off a little. Stick a few more of the highlights where the sun's licking the top of these rock faces. So what do we got? White, cad yellow maybe. I can go through there, that's a nice one. Down there, half mix it with some of those greys. Feel that in. More of the light values here, light and shadow. Right. Slide that through there. A little bit in there. Bit more white, bit more yellow. Bit of a salt build up there, salt scum maybe. The water's not always fantastically pure, there's a few minerals and whatever kicking around in it. It is a very arid area and it's hard to get absolutely pure water in these areas. Just adding a few more highlights through there. Bit of a chunk like that. Let me just have a look, hey? Okay, that's all going well. Just down here I've still got the raw linen. I might put a bit of shadow in there, so I'll get some burnt sienna. Use the reds and blues and a bit of that grey over there. Create a shadow colour. A bit more, maybe magenta. Got to get a dark value. What have we got? Magenta. Needs to be a bit more of the browns though, more of the earthy colour. Slightly lighter in value. Just trying to lighten her up a bit, warm it up, that's better. Plenty of paint into the area, so we've got a lot to work with. Now, white. Now magenta, just lighten that value. Burnt sienna, white and magenta. Bit of yellow ochre. I'm trying to get a nice light thing going on here. Sand in the foreground. It's all coming along good. I might just mix up a few of the cad oranges with a bit of magenta, a real strong value. Just trying to put a bit more of that really warm outback reflected light into some of these areas. Like put it into here, it's really bouncing back up and lighting things up into the rock structures. So. More yellow through here. Just going to get a slightly smaller knife, just working in these areas. Just blending so they're not just light and dark and nothing else, they're blended. What do you got? A bit more light maybe. Soften the edges of the clouds. Broken up here and there. There we go. Blended that a little. Now I'll blend the water a little, get the bigger brush again. Well, it's not actually a brush, is it? Throw a little bit of that green in. What do we got here? Just trying to key this area down a little bit. So it's just not quite as strong. Put all those colours together. So when you're looking down like that into that sort of water, it's much more low-keyed like so. Well, it's all coming along absolutely beautifully. Really happy with what's going on. Now got to go for one of the biggest differences that's left over here, and that is some nice bits of foliage on the ridge tops here. We've got a little couple of suggestions of it here. We'll just put a bit more here. A little bit of tree activity right on the edges, just gives that feeling of life and refinement. Okay, we'll go for some yellow ochre. Bit of Viridian green, touch of white. Make some sort of high key colour. Let's have a look. Just put some on and try it out. That's nice. Because you've got to remember it's the light shining through the leaves because it's backlit again with the silhouette effect. So it's going to be quite a light value. So I've got the yellow ochre there that I used. White and Viridian green has given it quite a high key colour. There's going to be bits and pieces down lower. We'll go for a bit more yellow ochre, Viridian green and white. There's going to be bits and pieces here and there, a little bit up here. Definitely some down low here where there's more of the water collects, and you obviously get more life in general because of that. Bit of greenery here and there. Alright. Now just look at that. What I'll start doing in a minute is start putting a few refined tree trunks that'll really start to make it pop, and little marks like that really start to reel it in if you put it in the right spots, and that'll be where your eyes are getting let in, so a few clean little marks through there will really make a difference. So for that, I reckon I'll use some coarse titanium white, some clean cad yellow with it, half mixed. Beautiful clean colours. A bit more of that clean white. And just lightly touch it on. More of the white. Where have we got out? Just here. Knife on edge. Just suggest and feel little things here and there. Once again, this is the illusion of detail. Put a few in the right spot, and next minute you feel like the whole painting's finished. Alright. Just have a look, because every time you do stuff as the painting's getting more reeled in, the less you should actually just keep on doing stuff, the more you should go and have a look, see what you've done. And if you like what you've done, then that's all good. But if you go doing too much up close and you're not actually looking at what you're doing, you could actually be doing... Hang on, let's put that on. You could actually be wrecking a lot of the good work that you've already done. All right. All right, that's working good. Now, might start getting a little bit more accent going with the pure whites. Touching up some of these clouds, really drawing your eyes into the focal area. So we get some nice white here. Look at that lovely stuff. Just dump it there. It's got a little bit of yellow mixed with it. That it won't hurt. That's nice. Just lay it on thick. A little bit of yellow with that, that's nice too. It's good. Now I'll get some kind of darker silhouetted colours of the trees. Up against this cloud it'd be more of a silhouette effect, I would imagine, so we'll just pop them in like so. Up against here, the light's shining through because you've got the dark backdrop. But when you've got a light backdrop like the sky, then you just got the dark version of the tree, so it's darker up there. All right, well I've just come back from a nice cup of tea and a bit to eat and whatever else. Thought what I'd do is I'd have a nice break, get my mind completely off the job. I find that's the best way to go. Once you've been putting so much work in from a blank canvas or blank linen in this case, to this much done, it's always best just to stand back, have a rest, because sometimes your mind has lost its clarity as to what is a good painting. You can't tell if you finished it enough. You may overwork it. It may need more. Best thing is get your mind off the job, go do something else and come back later on. Exactly what I've done. What I also decided to do is stick it in the gallery itself instead of the studio where I painted, so I'm literally seeing it in a fresh light. Give me an idea of what I need to do. I look at it, I realise I got a lot where I wanted it. I've maybe just put a couple of highlights and just flicked them in just then. Other than that, pretty happy with what's going on. The original concept, I feel like I've captured that, and that was to capture that silhouette of light. So you've got this beautiful rugged gorge. It's all in shadow, and then you get these nice little highlights where the light's just licking bits and pieces here and there. And of course up to the big grand finale of this cloud, which is backlit. So the sun's up here somewhere, and it's all backlit, lighting up that cloud, leading your eye in through like this, building up the intensity of light until you get the major accents up here. Another thing, as you saw when I was painting the clouds in the water itself, I've keyed it down so the intensity of the light on those clouds is not as bright as there. And the idea of that was, because it's a reflection, it's a keyed down version of it. Putting these extra little bits of foliage really made it pop because you've got major chunky marks, kind of giving the illusion of light and realism. But as soon as you put in a few of the right areas where light meets dark and whatever else, as soon as you put a few of these extra refined details, go to a bit of trouble to put up some finer details in those spots, then your mind sees the whole thing as being quite finished. The illusion of detail. So in these shadows here, for example, it's just big blobs of paint, nothing really refined, just suggesting things. And then as soon as where the light meets, really clean edges, really clean edges. On the whole, pretty happy with what's going on. Why don't we just get that camera off now, come buzzing right in, you guys can have a look and see what you think. All right, thank you.